Why should you pursue your dreams? Maybe it's more important than you currently believe. I personally believe that the world would be a better place if more of us were taking action on our dreams. Over the years, at the heart of any work I've done is a passion for helping people to bring their dreams to life and help them grow. It's been such a passion that some people have even referred to me as the dream midwife. My hope in this video is to help you understand the profound importance of your dreams, along with providing actionable steps for you to pursue them today, even if you're a little bit nervous. And if you could just use a little bit of encouragement on the path of your dreams, I hope this video will also help fuel your motivation. Let's talk a little bit about why your dreams matter more than you think. Our dreams are life-giving. They bring depth and meaning to our lives. They are also powerful catalysts to help us grow and become our best selves, drawing parts out of us that we may not have even known existed. Our dreams can also open doors, even if all we've ever known is brick walls. When we give ourselves permission to take our dreams seriously and take action on them, adventures begin and often serendipity occurs. Something absolutely sacred happens when someone shares their dream with you. I've witnessed this countless times over the years whenever someone has bravely and vulnerably shared what they really want to do or what they really want to create. It's like this energy just gets quiet around them in that moment, and I can tell that we're now on sacred ground. It's really, really beautiful and powerfully vulnerable. This precious dream is just laced with hope and magic. Something that precious and valuable is so important and needed in the world, and I promise you, I haven't yet met one human who doesn't have that somewhere inside of them. I also love that dreams inspire us to be doers and creators, not just consumers or victims of life and circumstances. Instead, when we're taking action and pursuing our dreams, life starts to happen with us and not just to us. However, it's important to understand the difference between a meaningful, deep dream and pursuing something that's really just a strong want, which often can be made of smoke and mirrors. They are absolutely not the same thing, and whenever we trick ourselves or are tricked into thinking they are, we get into trouble. For example, if you think your dream is to be wealthy, you might work really hard and do whatever it took to make more and more money. But then when you got there and you actually had achieved the wealth, you might find that it didn't actually take away your feelings of insecurity or loneliness or vulnerability. You might find it to be empty. We have so many examples of deeply miserable, wealthy, and famous people. Yet those desires can be incredibly tempting, especially when so much of our society's narrative supports the idea that these are the ultimate achievement and true meaning of success in life. The other deception here is that these types of desires, not necessarily wealth, but an empty dream that isn't maybe actually your dream, but is just something you think you should have to have value and worth in society, is that they might give us somewhat of a sense of purpose, but ultimately could lack meaning and joy and peace. However, since this is a common narrative in our society, these types of ideas lumped around big, audacious goals and dreams that would change your life significantly are often perceived as shallow, and thus that can make us lump all dreams and the pursuit of all dreams as being shallow and not worthy of our attention and energy. But real, deep dreams are different. Remember, real dreams are life-giving. The good news is that usually a real beautiful dream with a heartbeat is underneath the superficial want that you may have been chasing or going after. For example, if we take something like desiring wealth and we simply ask ourselves, why do I want that? We might get an answer like, I don't want to have to worry about money. But the real magic comes when you keep asking why. This can help you uncover the layers and discover the real dream that's underneath that desire. So if we keep asking why with why we might want to create wealth, it might look something like, I want to be able to do whatever I want with my time. Then when we ask why again, we might get a response like, because I would love to finally write a book. And then when we ask why again, because I think it would be fun to write a science fiction romance novel. And when we ask why again, because I love science fiction and I've had some fun ideas. And then we ask why again, because it would feel good to make something and not feel like my purpose is just to work and slave away to just pay the bills. And then at the heart of that, because I believe I was born for more. Even as you're hearing this as a broad example, just check in with yourself and see if you can feel something different in how that chain of responses evolved into more of the heart of the dream, the heart of the response, which is to be able to create, to make something, to live a life of meaning. Now, when we take those beautiful embers of the dream, because I think it would be fun, because it would feel good to make something, because I was born for more, now we'll start to see the solid heartbeat of a real, gorgeous, life-giving dream. Then we'll naturally maybe find ourselves asking things like, well, why can't I start that now? What's stopping me? And we might find ourselves surprised to see that we might be up for pursuing this dream right now, regardless of whether or not we've achieved this idea in our mind of being successful and wealthy first. We might be able to start today with what we have today. Now, with this example, it is important to note that for basic needs and escaping financial hardship, money is crucial for well-being. Time freedom is a luxury that not everyone has the privilege to enjoy. Money can improve life satisfaction and to some extent even daily happiness, especially if you're currently living or have been living for a long time at a lower income level. Money can help meet basic needs, reduce stress, and provide more opportunities. However, it's also important to understand that after a certain level of income, beyond a comfortable living, other factors such as relationships, health, purpose, and community typically become far more influential in determining happiness and fulfillment. My argument is not that money isn't helpful, but that the pursuit of money alone can be an empty dream or an empty goal that can leave your life devoid of passion, fulfillment, and peace. Another way to get to the heart of your dream is what I call the morning after thought experiment. Imagine yourself having whatever it is that you really, really want the most right now. And then ask yourself, what happens the morning after? Let's say you finally have that gorgeous skinny body that you've been dreaming about for years. What happens the morning after you get this dream body? What does your day look like? You might see yourself feeling really peaceful, putting on clothes that feel really good, going for a lovely walk out in nature, or eating and enjoying beautiful, nutritious food. The trick here is that we often think that we have to reach that big goal or dream before we can do what we really want to do. But then with this morning after thought experiment, we start to see how our life doesn't necessarily always change really in big dramatic ways once we achieve some sort of dream that we've been wanting. It starts to help us see glimmers of the ideal life, the dream life that we've been wanting to lead. This can then inspire us to bring more of that dream into our everyday life now, rather than waiting for that far off day in the future when we finally achieve the big, big dream. We can start living that way now instead of waiting to have the gorgeous skinny body that we think we need to have to be happy and satisfied. We can go on lovely walks today. We can eat beautiful, nutritious food today, maybe, if even in only small ways. And we can begin to incorporate practices into our day that help us feel more nourished and fulfilled and peaceful. This thought experiment has been huge in my life, especially when I've had dreams of becoming a really successful illustrator and writer. And when I think about the morning after I would have achieved some of these goals of writing books and, having best-selling titles, I see myself just able to draw what I want to draw and paint what I want to paint. I see myself being able to spend a lot of time being able to do art, but then also having good life balance where our needs are met and I'm able to spend time with my loved ones. So seeing this has helped me start to incorporate some of those aspects into my life now. I don't have to wait till I have a best-selling book in order to experience that on an everyday basis. I've also used this thought experiment over the years a lot of times around money. When I envision my morning after wealth, I find that my life looks oddly and eerily kind of similar to how it does now. outside of being able to travel a little bit more with money, I can see that my life doesn't change all that much. I'd still be eating off plates and sleeping in beds, even if they're a little bit nicer and in finer places than I currently do that in. Even if I was traveling, I'd still just be eating and sleeping in different places. And while that can be fun, seeing all this has helped me to understand how I can start to enjoy more and more of my eating and sleeping and everyday living now instead of waiting for that all elusive time in the future when suddenly the wealth is there. I don't need to wait for wealth to start living. And believe me, I am so guilty of having a dream and believing that my life will be amazing once I have that dream realized. So I really, really understand this pitfall very clearly. But why don't we pursue our dreams or even take this little daily action towards them? What holds us back? A lot of it has to do with overcoming fear and self-doubt. Over the years, I've found 7 common sticking points, and I would love to share them with you now so that you won't also get stuck in them. Or at least if you do, that you'll recognize it quickly and be able to get out. The first sticking point is it's already been done. Maybe we've dreamed of writing a book, but we look all around us and we see tons of books and lots of people that have done books, and we think to ourselves, what does the world need another book for? We might feel afraid then of investing our time and energy into it because it seems like maybe if we did that, no one would care in the end. It would get lost in a sea of countless books that already exist. However, a big secret here is that no one else can write your book. No one else can sing your song or tell your story, paint your painting, make your cake, whatever it is that you're dreaming of doing or the kind of life that you want to be leading and the things you want to be creating. No one else can do it like you. You bring a unique perspective and value into whatever it is that you're doing, especially the things you do with your heart. Your unique perspective and voice are needed. Every single person on this planet could write a book and we still wouldn't have enough books. The other pitfall is I don't have enough time. Our lives can be really full and busy, which can keep us stuck in survival mode. We may have a really demanding job or children and others to take care of. It can feel like there honestly isn't any time for us. And in some situations, that can be very, very true. However, I have been surprised at how most of us can still find 5 minutes a day. In fact, I don't believe that social media would be so popular and widely used if the majority of us had no time, truly. If you have time for a quick scroll on social media, you have time to work on your dream. For example, maybe you're dreaming of being an artist, but you're not even taking the time to pick up a cheap pen and some random paper that's on your counter to do a quick drawing. Instead, you keep pushing your dream farther away by waiting until you have the right circumstances and ideal tools and art supplies before you can begin. But I promise this is just a way that we self-sabotage our dreams. It's not actually helping you. One of my professional artist friends really blew my mind recently when she told me that right now, when her full-time job is to be an artist, she paints about the same amount of hours as she did when she was painting and working a 30-hour-a-week job. This really broke down a story I had in my mind about how much more time I would have to create the thing that I've been dreaming of when I no longer have a job someday in the future, maybe even when I'm retired. Such a fascinating perspective to really check those beliefs within ourselves and be sure that they are worth believing in and limiting us in going after our dream. The next sticking point is fear of others' opinions and losing credibility. We can also not take action because we can be paralyzed by fears about what other people will think. For example, what if people knew that you, as an adult, were taking ballet classes in the evening? Would they take you seriously? Isn't that kind of embarrassing? What if they asked if you were any good and you had to tell them you really weren't? You were just a beginner, but you'd always dreamed of dancing. Would they think you were silly and wasting your time? Who cares? Does it bring you joy? Does it light up your week more? Also know that you have permission to keep your dreams to yourself. Our dreams are often like little sprouts growing up out of the earth. Sometimes they need our protection and care and for us to keep them to ourselves until they grow strong enough to withstand the elements and the storms of other people's opinions and perspectives. As such, it can be really important to not share your dream or talk about your dream with anyone who wouldn't be kind and would instead be very critical in the beginning of you going after your dream. Not everyone needs to know. Your dream is yours, and everyone around you doesn't need to get it or be supportive in order for your dream to be possible or for your dream to even matter. That being said, sometimes people whom we trust can offer us really valuable counsel in these moments, and sometimes it is worth looking at and taking into consideration. But in my experience, I found that people usually don't get it until you're further along in creating and bringing the dream to life. And then it's kind of funny because then at that point, they seem to act like, well, of course. This has happened in my art journey so many times. I definitely wasn't good in the beginning, and I felt like I was wasting my time whenever I would sit down to draw or paint. But then as I've kept going, my art has continued to get better. And people around me say things like, well, of course, you're just such a talented artist, as if I was born that way, and that it didn't take years and hours and days of working at those skills and studying it and investing my time and energy there to actually improve. The next sticking point is the fear of being bad at it. Whatever it is. It can feel really scary to try something new and be bad at it in the beginning. Especially as adults, we are so much more comfortable in our competence, and our competence even strengthens our sense of identity and value. But when you start anything new, there is a learning curve, and usually our dreams will be something that we've never done before. For example, you may have played guitar for years, but you've never written enough songs to fill an entire album before. There can be a lot of discomfort in being like a child again, or feeling childish because our dreams often have a childlike quality and goodness to them. But reassure yourself that this is a normal phase of learning and it's essential for your growth. And most importantly, that the discomfort will pass. I heard once that the better we get at something, the more fun we have doing it. For example, like the more skilled you get at golf, the more you enjoy playing golf. Whether it's true or not, reminding myself of this helps me to stick with it even when it doesn't feel fun. It helps me focus on how it won't always feel so hard and how it will get more fun as time goes on and my skills increase. And over the years, my skills really have increased and it has gotten a lot more fun. I enjoy my time drawing and painting so much more. The next sticking point is the success justification. As adults, it's easy for us to justify what we want to do with the caveat that we need to be successful at it for it to mean anything, or for it to have been valid or worth it. This usually leads us to believe that we would need to make money from the dream, which for some of us can be a trap and can rob us from the joy in the journey of pursuing the dream at all. I've really found that questioning what my definition of success is can help me with this sticking point, rather than just going along with what the world thinks success is. Over the years, I've come to experience that success for me looks like being able to laugh and connect with my family in meaningful ways. It looks like being able to do and create things that I love and enjoy. It means being able to enjoy my life, even if it's not ideal circumstances. This shift in definition has helped me to stop pursuing dreams that were empty dreams and were actually contributing to my happiness or fulfillment. Another sticking point is the lack of external support versus self-belief. This is where we feel like we don't have others believing in us or giving us the support we need to be able to actually pursue our dream. But the truth here is that we have to start with ourselves. I've noticed all too often my temptation to blame others as well. Something I've thought about is maybe that the bank would never give me a business loan for that idea. But then I've had to ask myself, well, do I believe in my dream enough that I would set aside money from every paycheck for the next year in order to support and fuel my own dream? That's an intimidating question, right? This is us saying, do I believe in myself enough and this dream enough to self-fund it with my own money or even my own time? Your internal belief in yourself and your vision in your dream are the foundation, not anyone else's. Also know that it doesn't matter how special a dream is, because ultimately you are the person that is going to care about it the most if it's your dream. This is kind of like having an actual child. All babies are beautiful and special and amazing, but usually a parent loves their child more than they love any other child. Trying to get other people to care as much about your dream as you do, or to get their full blessing and permission, can be tricky. So tread carefully and make sure that your belief in your dream is your top priority. The final sticking point is related to the last one, which I call predestination messiness. This trap comes from believing that you would already have your dream if it was meant to be. I'm using a lot of air quotes in this video. Then, since you don't have it, you just have to see other people experiencing life with what you want and to try to be grateful with your life instead. I see this justification all the time, especially with people bringing their religious beliefs into the mix. One person in church might be saying how blessed they are because God blessed them, and another person might be talking about how much God has asked them to sacrifice because God wants other things for them. Both of these perspectives could be true per se, depending on your beliefs. But all too often, I think this is really similar to the last sticking point, where we're trying to put the belief in our dream outside of ourselves, and the power for bringing our dream to life outside of ourselves as well. In my experience of working with people's pure, life-giving, beautiful dreams, I can't imagine anything more pure and sacred. My personal belief is that the dream wouldn't be in you if it wasn't meant for you in some way. I'd really question any stuckness you might have around this type of belief, and even consult the God of your understanding to see what's actually true versus how you might be holding yourself back based off of fear rather than lack of permission from your creator. Now let's talk for a minute about the illusion of external validation. For many people, true success looks like living with passion, meaning, and purpose. However, there are many illusions of what really matters and feels good in life to watch out for. For example, we may believe that wealth equals safety, beauty equals value, and success equals meaning. Typically, these types of definitions can lead us to chasing external validation. Over my career of working with extremely wealthy individuals, I've seen firsthand that you can never make enough money to feel safe and wanted. For example, one of my clients years ago hired me to help take her business where she was earning $250,000 a month and to double it so that she could make $500,000 a month. She told me how badly she needed this business growth to happen so that she could finally spend more time with her family, take better care of her health, and have a life more filled with meaning and purpose. You're probably thinking what I was thinking at that time of, if you can't find those things when making $250,000 a month, way more than most people's annual salary in a month, by the way, then the odds are pretty low that you're going to find it at $500,000 a month of income. I saw this type of thinking many times with my wealthy clients. You really can't have enough money to feel safe, to relax, to take good care of yourself, and to take good care of your loved ones. You have to decide for yourself what matters and create the life experience that aligns with your values. I think we all have these gorgeous dreams inside of us, and that the world really would be a better place the more we were all taking action on them, even if only in small ways. I think there are a lot of sticky lies out there that keep us stuck and keep the world kind of a mess. Would we be in the world situations we are in now if we didn't obsess over wealth and beauty and popularity? If being a billionaire wasn't perceived as being cool and was maybe even perceived as being shameful or embarrassing, we probably wouldn't praise and enable them to continue in destructive ways, but instead would try to help teach them and others how fulfillment comes in other more meaningful ways than just money. The other beautiful thing is that when you pursue your dreams, you give permission for those around you to pursue what lights them up as well. This is incredibly powerful. When more of us are actively engaged in what lights us up, it can really make a positive impact in our own little world and the bigger world at large. So how can we help you to get started or keep taking action on your dreams? Most dreams seem really big in our heads, but are actually pretty simple in practice. It's easy to get stuck in our heads and think that the dream is just too big to ever bring to life. So really think about, how can you break down that really big dream into small, manageable steps? What could you do in even just 15 minutes a day to move towards your dream? These baby steps are powerful. Do not disregard or minimize them. Take them seriously and avoid the temptation to go from 0 to 60 miles an hour on action towards your dream. Ask me how I know. Ultimately, I believe that lack of sustainability kills more dreams than nearly anything else. This is why those baby steps are so important. They build your muscles to be able to sustain building your dream over long periods of time. As you grow in strength and capacity, you'll find even more ways to be able to invest more of your energy and more of yourself into bringing your dream to life. If you're feeling overwhelmed, make it more simple and focus on consistency. We can also often think that we need to arrive in that future dream state in order to be content and happy. But then we don't realize that working towards the dream, even in just 15 minutes a day, can feel amazing. In fact, it can light up your whole life. Your path towards your dream can be even more fulfilling than achieving the dream itself. For example, maybe you dream of being a chef and owning your own restaurant, but then you find that at the heart of that dream is being more playful with food and having more fun in the kitchen. Maybe you adjust your schedule a bit to find 15 extra minutes in a day that you can spend more time in the kitchen to experiment, or maybe instead you start taking cookbooks to bed to read instead of novels. Maybe you let yourself try one new recipe a week, or you let yourself buy one new ingredient a month that you've never cooked with, just so you can experiment and try some new flavors. Just imagine how much more life this would infuse into your days and weeks and months. And it's only 15 more minutes a day, to start at least. Honestly, when I started leaning more into my art dream, I had so much resistance. When I'd finally give myself permission to sit down and paint or draw, I would be so critical of everything that came out on the paper. I really genuinely wasn't good at the beginning, and no one is. I felt like I was wasting my time and that I should be doing more responsible things instead. And it was just so incredibly heartbreaking to want this dream so bad, and then build up the courage to actually take action and get going, but then have this intense inner struggle the whole time when I'm sitting there just trying to draw or paint, and then hating whatever I made in the end. So I had to get over that hurdle by deciding and accepting that I couldn't get to making good art unless I was willing to also make bad art. And honestly, it was a little weird for my family when mom started sitting down and painting in little cracks of time throughout the day. But over time, they got used to it as their new normal, and that this is just what mom does. I also replaced old habits like reaching for social media, and instead found myself reaching for art tutorials instead, even if it was just a short video clip. I put the Domestika app on the homepage of my iPhone so that I would see it first before even being tempted by looking at social media. If you'd like to hear more about how I've been making more time for art, and especially what my latest 50-day sprint has done, definitely check out this video where I share more details about that. It's easy to minimize the power of compounded small efforts and habits over time. Even just 15 minutes a day over a month is 7.5 hours. If you're anything like me and you feel limited for time, or we think we need way more time than that to bring this dream to life, the most valuable thing I have ever done for any dream I've wanted to bring to life is to start small and focus on consistency. With my art journey, I've been so happy and so surprised at how quickly my art skills have grown by consistency alone. Just remember that the key steps to achieve and pursue your dreams are just about starting small and creating little habits that will build gently over time. It's also vital to avoid those 7 sticking points that we talked about earlier. Luckily, just being aware of them and reminding yourself of them can help you to get unstuck and to avoid them entirely. So what's one small step you could take today towards your dream? If you'd like some accountability, tell me what habit you're wanting to build in the comments so that I can cheer you on. If you remember nothing else from this video, please remember and really take to heart these two potent truths. Your dreams matter and your dreams are sacred. As we take action on those big dreams in our heart, we bring more light and goodness and vitality into the world. So please join me in this important effort. And if you'd like some support of someone else cheering you on, be sure to subscribe and consider checking out my Patreon. Regardless, though, I'm cheering you on wholeheartedly in pursuing your dreams and bringing them to life. It matters and you matter. Please go for it.